Well, sort of the same, but different. Hey y'all, APG Jamie here. And we're going to start off using my favorite paper clay. Okay. I think I usually get it from Michael's. I don't know, it could be Hobby Lobby. I don't know. It is my favorite. I finished up my IOD air dry clay that I had. And this is in preparation for today's project, y'all. Hashtag third Sunday prompt. And our prompt is let's fly, hence the die, the bird dies you saw at the extra beginning there, y'all. So I'm rolling up little balls, and some of them I take extra off of, some of them I don't. It's a push mold. You just take your little ball and you push it in the mold. This works best with drier clays. If you have the actual air dry clay, because this is the paper clay that I'm using today. Like I said, my favorite. Anyway, you want to let it set in the mold for a few minutes, and by a few minutes I mean 5-10 minutes maybe, so that it can kind of get in shape. And when you go to push it out, don't push directly on the center of the face, because this one's faces, y'all. Because you could muss up the nose, okay? And sometimes, you know, when you pull them out, you got to kind of like smooth little areas off. And these are teeny tiny pieces. So those other ones that are existing there on my drying tray, those are the last of my IOD air dry clay. I prefer the paper clay on lighter weight projects because it's lighter weight. The IOD clay is most often used to decorate and embellish wood furniture kind of stuff. And it's better suited for heavier weight objects such as a journal cover or some such. Maybe a canvas. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So I'm just going to push them all out, and we're pretty much just going to wrap that part up, and we're going to move on to our project. Let's fly. So I've got this scrap paper, and I'm just putting it on these two different dies because I don't know which bird I want. And I decided I would make two of said projects because, sometimes I like to share. So make sure you leave a comment. Kind comment, people. And 18, just saying, better be 18. And here we are. I went ahead while I was over there die cutting the birds. I saw these flora, fauna, leaf things, die cuts, and I thought, yeah, let's cut some of them out. So cut a couple of those, and we're going to marker them up with the ohuhu markers, which I believe are watercolor markers. And it may not look like much, but once it all dries, the marker all dries on the cardstock, oh, I was so happy with them. I'm like, yeah, perfection. Y'all know me and my perfection. That's a loose term. Loosey-goosey. And I actually will die cut a couple of more of these. They're a little different, but they're the same. They're different, but they're the same. You know me. I like the smaller bird. I'm going to go with the smaller bird. Just saying. Because that's what I go with. This is a recreation of an artist trading card I made years ago for the Grumbacher ATC swap. I don't know if they still do it or not. I'm not doing it, so I obviously don't know. Anyway, there was an ATC that I swapped, and I was like, I wish I'd have kept that. I wish I'd have kept that. I wish I'd have kept that. So I finally, it's been on my list. Finally got around to doing it. Perfect prompt, y'all. It came before the what am I going to make? Anyway, That little bird's leg got cut off, so I'm gluing it back on, which is kind of weird because I end up cutting their legs all up and their feet all around and whatnot later. Not yet. So, they're the same, but they're different. And this is not like the first one that I made. But it's similar, and hopefully it will satisfy my, I wish I'd have kept that syndrome. Is that a syndrome? Maybe it's a syndrome now. And I'm just shading around. I'm coloring their feet, and that's a dark brown. And I'm like, well, that's not dark enough, so I think I come back with a black marker. I don't know. Kind of thing. I will zoom in at some point. I don't know what point, but at some point we will. So, I thought, well, I need a little more red around there just to deepen the red a little bit. I don't know why. You're not necessarily going to be able to see it. My original ATC was on glitter cardstock, so I'm like, yeah, let's do it again. I do still have the exact same color. I don't use glitter paper very often. It's the kind of glitter paper that the glitter's permanently on the paper. Okay, so don't be freaking out, Barb Owen. No freaking for Barb Owen and the glitters. Anyway, I mostly use art glitter glue on screen. Hello, phone. And but I also use my favorite, Alleene's original tacky. I don't know if you see that part. Probably not. And let's see what else. Oh, we're gluing on. One of them's getting the little budding out branch. I was thinking, well, you know, it's more like spring, and this other one's more like, you know, summer. And then I thought, well, you know, I told you I was going to cut another one, and I went and cut another leaf. It's not quite the same, but it's the same. So we're just going to squish that on there. And I have another one of the branch that's got the little buds on it. And I'm going to fiddle with it for a minute, and then I'm like, no, don't use it, kind of thing. I know, I'm not supposed to tell you in advance what's gonna happen. Those are called cliffhangers. Are you hanging on a cliff? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? Are you holding your breath? So, now I'm trimming his feet all around. Because I don't think these little bird legs are actually bird leg-ish enough. But that's okay. We're using them. I've got several little bird dies. And I like this one. I don't remember if I used this one or the bigger bird die on the previous ATC that I'm recreating-ish. You know. I don't know. Don't remember. Probably have a picture, but I wasn't going to go digging for it, so I did not go digging for it. And we're just squishing this around, and I will get out some, I'm going to tell you in advance, some real feathers. They're probably chicken feathers. I don't know what kind of feathers they are, y'all. They're colorized. I picked them up on clearance somewhere at a charity shop or, I don't know, somewhere. I don't know what those would work. And y'all saw when I was die cutting the birds, I went ahead and die cut a couple of the wings that go with the bigger bird. Why not? I can use them right here on this bird too, because, you know, it's just a bigger wing on a smaller bird. Does it matter? Not really. They're made up birds anyway. They're fantastical birds, meaning fantasy birds, y'all. They're not the real ones, even though I do use a real feather. Anywho, we're gluing on that. One is for me and one is for someone else. Randomized even. So here's one of the feathers. I'm going with a red feather and then more of a blue teal colored feather for the other one because they're different. It's not the same bird. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Oh, I need to trim this one around a little bit. don't worry, we're going to use the rest of that feather. Well, I didn't use the whole feather, but we used a lot of it. Okay. Sometimes I need scraps. I don't need any scraps, y'all. Coffee. So I didn't like the way some of those leaves were sticking up over the back of the bird, so I am just trimming them around with a craft knife and hoping I don't damage anything. And fortunately, I did not damage anything. So, moving along, gluing feather on. Better. A red feather on a purple wing for a red bird. And the other one gets the teal feather on a purple wing for a red bird. I know, y'all can see. So here we are at our paper clay faces. Now, I did the faces well in advance. And by well in advance, I mean I probably did them a week ago. Okay? And when they're drying, oh, it's been so hot. Anyway, I have them on that little drying tray, and I have them face up at first, so they're, you know, the surface, especially the noses and lips, y'all, so they get dry. And then after a couple hours, I go back out to the studio, or if I'm still out there, I just walk over to them and flip them upside down. You get better results when you dry your air dry clay in said manner. Couple hours, flip them back the other way. Couple hours, flip them back the other way. I mean, you know, it helps to avoid cracking. With air dry products, cracking can be an issue when you have thicker things. Now, I do know that for the most part, I use these faces on paper. So I try to make them thinner because you don't want real thicky stuff. You know, I got issues with thick embellishments already. I don't need something more extra thick. Which is why I was sanding the backs of them, because you want them flat, usually, typically. So you can, you know, get good surface coverage with your glue and stickability and stuff. So I was sanding them off with a little emery board, or you could just use sandpaper, whatever. And I used a craft knife to trim around the outside because one of them, both of them had, you know, some extra little fuzzy bits off the side, which happens, you know. Are they perfect? No. Are they wonderful? Yes. But we're going to paint our little faces. And usually with the paper clay, before I start painting, I use fluid matte medium on there to seal them. And I once again did that. He can, y'all. But to use off and on to dry. Now the thing about the paper clay, for me, the way I do it, a lot of times I will go over and seal the whole thing with fluid matte medium before I start painting them, if I'm going to paint them. I do seal them even if I don't paint them, okay? Now I'm going to be adding some blush per se, you know, here and there. And at some point I will seal them, and then I'll blush them again and touch the little lips. I mean, this is teensy tiny stuff, and I do have teensy tiny brushes I could have used, but you know, sometimes I'm a normal person. I don't, you know, I don't get out my stuff. Just saying, desk girl. So now we're darkening that so you can see, because they've got closed eyes, and it gives an antiquing sort of value within the little crevices. It wasn't dark enough. So I went over it again a couple times. And then I think at some point I touched the cheeks with the ohuhu markers. Okay? I don't think I filmed that part. Anyway. Again, y'all. Surface drying them. You want to make, you know, you want to dry this stuff because I don't know if it reconstitutes, y'all. I just don't know, because I be careful with it. So I seem to be having some issues with my voiceover recording today. So there's some floobles in here, more than normal, weirder than normal. It wasn't me. Ah! So now we're getting some feathers, back to the feathers, I should say. I thought, well, you know, we can put some of those on their little faces, well, behind their faces. So it's like little feathers sticking up in their heads, behind their heads. Like hair, but not hair, it's feathers. So that's what we're doing. I'm just trimming them out first, and then I'll put the glue, and we'll get them all glued up. And I think I come back and add just a wee bit more, because I'm like, well, you know what, that's kind of weird looking. Well, I mean, you know, they are fantasticals. Put some more on there when you're not looking pretty sure. I don't know if I show you that part. Put some weight on it. We have to wait on it. And here we are going to glue them onto our cards. Decided to put the glue on both of them. Oh, yeah, there's a little much glue there. You know, a little much glue, more is better, right? So the red-winged, feather-winged is getting the red, bless my heart, y'all, the red feathers on their head. As you can see, I'm covering up the beak portion with the face, okay? And we're going to put the blue one on. And I try to tilt them a little bit. I mean, they don't look too tilted in the screen, but that's how they are now, you know. Oh, flip-flop time, y'all. See? I already glued my backs on. You want to put your backs on before you put any 3D-ish elements on the front, because it's just easier that way. They're so cute. I hope it satisfies my need to have kept that previous one. Okay? I don't know. We'll find out. Ta-da! Photo montage. Now you get a good look at the leaves, y'all. Oh, look at, I'm pretty happy with them. You know, I'm pretty happy with them. Look at it, they're so cute. They're making me happy. Making me happy. I hope you can play along. If you don't do videos or pictures, maybe you'll just play with the prompt anyway, because, you know, it's different. Well, maybe not too different, but it's a little different. Information below. Thanks for watching, and happy arting, y'all. Let's fly.